Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are back. We are back for Married at First Sight, a recap review, season 17, and we are on episode 7. And this is my part 2. I did part 1 yesterday. If you haven't checked out my part 1, please go back and check it out on my YouTube channel. I'll also leave the link here at the end of this video, right above my head, and you'll be able to click on it and watch the part 1. It was long. It was all on Orion and Lauren, 1 whole hour on Lauren and Orion. But I absolutely want to come back and talk about these other couples because I had a lot to say about them too. And I did watch the after party, y'all. I watched the after party, and that's where my thumbnail came from. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Who do y'all think is the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde? Who is it? Come to find out it's Brennan, y'all. Come to find out it's Brennan. And who spilled that tea on the after party? Lauren spilled the tea. And you know who co-signed on it? Claire. Lauren and Claire spilled the tea on the after party that Brennan is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and he don't like Emily. We saw a little bit of this last week. I said I watched the after party, and Emily was on the after party, and Emily herself said that there was problems. We see the previews coming up. And now we have Lauren and Claire on the after party co-signing that basically Brennan is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And he often can be very mean and condescending to Emily behind the scenes and off camera. He does a whole lot of laughing at her, not laughing with her, but laughing at her. Okay, so we can already see. Remember I told you earlier on I was 50-50 on this couple. Last week I told you I went all the way into the no bucket because I had a little bit of information last week from Emily on the after party. This week, based on what Lauren and Claire are saying on the after party, like I said, I'm firmly rooted, firmly planted in the no bucket on Emily and Brennan. And we saw a little bit of this on this episode. We saw this little weird tension going on with Brennan, how he was kind of, because Emily made a couple of jokes here and there. We saw him get a nasty attitude, all over because she didn't call him fun. Maybe what she was saying at that moment was he needs to lighten up. Maybe he needs to laugh and how to have fun or something, because she was already sensing that something was off. Even when she said something, well, I guess remember when he said something about, well, the only person who's ever really made me really mad are my parents. And then Emily said, yeah, I guess your wife is way up there. And at that moment, I was like, really? I haven't really seen that, Emily. But Emily is signaling to us. She's signaling to us. Emily, blink if you need us to come get you. Blink, Emily, if you need us to come pick you up, because I think Emily might be in stranger danger land. Which brings me back to what I was talking about, what I feel is going on this whole season. And I've been calling it psychological warfare. I talked about it on Lauren and Orion's part 1 that I did, and I'm gonna continue to talk about it here, because what I mean when I talk about psychological warfare is mind games, is they mind effing people, and I'm telling you that's what's going on. They mind effing these women, and I said that Orion was doing it. As my subscriber member El Ramey said, Lauren was playing checkers and Orion was playing chess. Absolutely. That's what I said then. He was plotting and all of that. And I also said last week, which I'm going to stick to this also, this theory I got in my head, is that a lot of these men don't like these women. I'm pretty convinced now, and I think maybe Austin doesn't like Becca either, for real. But they don't want to look bad on TV. And I think because of the stubbornness of Orion, I think Orion's personality is very, very stubborn. I think he doesn't go along with things. He wants to do what he wants to do. And what I think about that is he didn't go along with the game plan of the other men. That's what I think. I think he didn't go along with the game plan of the other men. He decided to speak up and challenge the system and really speak some of his true feelings, but he got shut down. We saw that. Go watch my other video. He got shut down. And I think as a result of that, I think the other men, where they are right now is they're underground. I absolutely believe that Brennan is underground, and I believe that Austin is underground. And when I say underground, what I mean is they're going to present one way to us in public, but in private, they're going to be doing certain things. And in their mind, they've already made up their mind that they really don't want to be with these women. That's what they really don't want to be with them. And that's what I think is going on with Brennan. Because when you listen to Lauren and Claire on the after party, you listen to Emily last week on the after party, you watch this episode, the two don't add up. Because when you watch them on this episode, they look like they were having some fun little bantering, right? Oh, Emily said that she was willing to convert to Judaism because she didn't want to be a part of the Catholic religion anymore because she felt it was a little bit cultish, right? Then you saw them going back and forth talking about, what's your football team? Are you going to be a Broncos fan? Are you going to be a Jets fan? Are you going to be a Giants fan? Or what are our kids' jerseys going to be? In some ways it was some fun bantering going back and forth. They started talking about kids. Children, how many children do you want to have? I mean, they were talking about all the right things to have an appearance in front. But then you don't reconcile that with what Emily is saying in the background. She's saying, even on this episode, that she realizes she has made her husband really angry. She said it on the episode, but we never saw it. And then you have Lauren and Claire saying he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. At one moment, he's smiling and laughing, but then on the other side, he's mean and evil. Maybe the one side is when he's on camera, and then maybe the other side is when no one's watching and he's not mic'd up. Brennan is nice nasty. Even when you hear him sometimes do little comments, it's kind of like a nice nastiness to him. You can see it brewing underneath below, but you have to take a really, really careful look at it. If you don't take a real careful look at it, you could miss it. You could really, really miss it. But Emily's putting the pieces together. I thought he was going to be a bit of a hard nose. I remember when I first saw their wedding, and I remember there was a part with Brennan. I don't know if you ever guys watched my earlier videos. I said one of the things about Brennan I realized was I thought he was very, not nitpicky, but I forgot the word I used, but it was when he asked Emily, what kind of car do you drive? And she said she drove a Jeep. And he was like, a Jeep? He's like, I drive an A4, Audi A4. And I remember thinking to myself, ugh, that told me a lot without saying a lot. I said it back then. That told me a lot without saying a lot. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to go out on another limb. And I know this is going to make people mad again because they're going to feel like I'm always talking about women. I think Brennan was turned off by Emily on the wedding day. I do. And the reason why I think he was turned off was with the same conversation Emily was having that Lauren was having, and that was discussing her sex life, not only with Brennan, but also with Brennan's friends and family. Emily was running around that wedding talking about, I've never been in a relationship, which is okay. I mean, I wouldn't have kept saying it over and over again, but she did. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But the part I really felt that Emily shouldn't have been saying was, I've only been in situationships. That just gives the illusion, okay, that you are a woman who sleeps around. It really does. I've only been in situationships. That goes back to what Orion was saying to Lauren. I just don't give myself to anyone. I'm telling you guys, these men are talking to each other. If you don't think that Orion and Brennan and Cameron and Austin are not talking to each other and telling them things behind the scenes, you are missing out. And these comments you heard by Orion saying, well, I don't just give myself to anybody. Guess what? I believe that Brennan believes the same thing about Emily, but he didn't say it. He's taking a different approach. So all of you who wanted Orion to be different with that comment, guess what? Now you got a man like Brennan who's decided to do differently than Orion, and he's not going to say nothing about it, but in the back of his mind, he's thinking it. In the back of the mind, he's thinking it. Because let me tell you, the other thing I found out on the after party, the reason I found out last week that Lauren, when Lauren had sex 2 months before, and it was what Emily chimed in and said was, she and I are alike. So come to find out that Emily is in the same boat as Lauren. That Emily too had sex just 2 months ago, because Emily said it herself that the timeline for both of them just having sex was 2 months. It was the same as Lauren's. But we're not talking about that between Emily and Brennan. The producers aren't showing us that part. But if you don't believe that Brennan doesn't have an opinion about it, just like Orion did, I believe that he does. I believe that he does. And I believe the two things, that she's always been in situationships, that men don't want to go after her after the third date, and that she had sex 2 months before the wedding. I believe that Brennan has put her in the category of she just gives herself to anyone. And I believe he was turned off before they even got started. That's what I believe. And whether or not we like Brennan or not, I don't know. I haven't even really gotten to know Brennan, to be honest with you. I mean, I had these inclinations about him, but he's so underground, y'all. Brennan is so underground with where he's really about to move that he's not showing us a lot of him at all. He is the complete opposite of Orion. The complete opposite. Orion is out here. We could call him whatever we want to do, but at least you know who he is. At least you know who he is. Brennan is over here hiding underground. This is why I told you guys I like the truth. I like people to tell me the truth. I don't care if it stings me. I don't care if it hurts me, because I know how to move with a person like an Orion. I know how to react. I know what to do. I don't want to hush an Orion. But we over here have hushed these men, and I believe that we've hushed Brennan, and Brennan is over here doing some fakery. He's not interested in Emily, not one bit. I don't even think they're going to consummate this marriage. I don't. Brennan said that he was raised Jewish, and remember Brennan was the one who said he's going to stay married for life. Nothing's going to matter. You know what? I don't think he's going to even count this wedding. I think he's going to go back to his Jewish community and say, oh, well, I never did consummate the marriage, so it don't count. That's what I believe. I think he's going to go back to his Jewish community, and he's going to say, I want the wedding annulled, or whatever we're going to call it. It wasn't a real wedding, because we never consummated the marriage. And I don't think he's ever going to touch Emily, not one bit, because he's already decided he's going to get out of this marriage. He's already plotted how when he goes back to his community, his Jewish community, how he's going to justify getting divorced from this. That's what I believe. Just like Orion was talking about, he's got to go back to his community after this, and he's got to report to his tribe. So does Brennan. And what Brennan's going to do is he's not going to have sex with Emily. Just like Orion said, sex is off the table. All of these men were talking to each other. And they're leaving these women in the dark, because you know why? The women don't want to hear the truth. The women don't even want to hear the truth from a woman like me, 30-something years older than them. You know what women drop down in my comments and tell me all the time? Or men, you're old, you old. Nobody thinks like you no more. Well, guess what? Yes, they do. Men still think the same way. I know all you young people out here think you got the better way of doing everything, but sometimes your better ways aren't getting you the better outcomes. And if you really believe men have changed so much, that they're so, equal rights, there's no racism, men, there are no double standards. There's double standards, women. There are double standards. And some women decide, well, you know what? We're tired of being up underneath these double standards. We're tired of being over scrutinized by men. We're tired of women like you, Deborah, telling us what we got to be in order to get a man. We'd rather be out here with no man. Then stop coming on the show on Married at First Sight talking about all your sexual escapades. If you really don't want to play the game, because yeah, it's a game. It is a game. It's a society. And if you really don't want to play by some of these rules that are out here, women, then guess what? You're right. Just be alone. Then don't come on expecting different results. That's where I am. Everybody can be who they want to be. Women can be, you can do whatever you want. You could sleep with whoever you want. You could talk about whoever you slept with. You could tell your whole sexual history. Then just don't expect everyone to react to it the same way. And just don't expect the same outcomes. That's where I have the problem. Where people think they can do different things, do whatever they want to do, but then get the same results. It's the same thing that Lauren said to Orion. Well, it's not fair. Fair. What does fair have to do with my life? If I'm a man and I'm choosing a wife, what do I care with what you think is fair? What do I care with what you think is judgy? This is my life. I get to decide. Some of this stuff might be working in corporate America, where the young people band together and they create some different changes in the workplace, and I commend them for that. In fact, like I said in my last video, I be on their coattails. But this is a whole different story when you're talking about one individual, one man. You're marrying one man. Women can't decide, listen, I'm gonna run around and talk about my sexual history to everybody, tell people how I'm just in situationships, tell people how I just had sex two months before I'm married to you, and I want you to go down on me, and think that he's supposed to look and say, oh, well, society says I'm supposed to change as a man, so I guess I gotta accept it. No. Just like you have an individual choice, ladies, so do the men. I feel sorry for Emily. I don't know who told Emily that she could walk around talking about this stuff, talking about herself in this way, and that a person would be attracted to it. Like I said, I don't know nothing about Brennan. I wasn't too keen on Brennan from the very beginning. Really, I wasn't. But now that I know he's down here in the dark, underground, not saying what he really thinks, what he really believes, I'm tied into this whole situation. Women need to take a lesson from this. They need to take a lesson. They're so busy wanting to stand up to it. What's so wrong with keeping your mouth shut? What's wrong with keeping your mouth shut to get what you want and go where you want to go? Sometimes that is the solution. Sometimes it's not always about fighting. Sometimes it's about closing your mouth. You know who else I think is underground? Austin. Mr. Ditto. I think he's underground too. I was over here all the last episodes talking about, oh man, Austin, I guess he's acting like he's just the Pope. He don't have a problem with nothing that comes out Becca's mouth. And yet, you know what he's doing? He's just quiet, and Becca keeps saying more and more and more stuff. This week we learned that Becca is agnostic. She don't even believe in God. And he says he's a Christian. And you know what Austin does? Austin just looks at her. Because he don't care, because he's already decided he ain't going to be with her. Austin's already decided. When she started talking about all that stuff about how she was ill, and I got endometriosis, I got a spinal issue, I got anxiety, I got this. He was like, oh, that's okay. You deserve to be loved. I say, dang, Austin sure is. Austin sure is a kind-hearted person. He's got the heart of a saint. Then she started talking about she could care less whether she had kids or not. But he said he wanted to have kids. Wow, Austin didn't blink. He sure does have. He's so flexible. He's so agreeable. Wow. Now we find out that he's Christian and she's agnostic. This ain't going nowhere. All these men have been talking to each other. They've all talked about their wives, and they've all decided to handle the situation differently. You got Orion who said, nope, I'm stubborn. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to speak my mind. He's the rebel, right? Because society have told all these men, you better be quiet. You can't slut shame these women. Society told these men, be quiet. Don't say anything. Austin said, well, I'm not going to be the man that talks bad about a woman who's got a disability. I'm not going to be the man on TV rejecting a sick woman. I'm not going to be seen like that on national TV. I got to go back to my tribe too. I got to go back to my hometown. I'm not going to be seen as the mean man, the bully man, rejecting a woman with a disability. I'm not going to reject a woman with a disability, a health disability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go along with it too for these 8 weeks. And in the end, I'm going to reject her. And Austin even got a little bit better than everybody else because he got an excuse that she can't even have sex because she just had surgery. Austin hit the jackpot. He doesn't even have to wrestle with the two women over whether or not he's attracted to them sexually because he realizes he has an out. All he's got to say is, I don't want to bust your stitches. He's got an easy out. He got it easier. Orion had to say it. No, sex is off the table. Brennan Brennan's going to have to justify why he's not making any moves on his wife. Austin got a ready-made excuse. I don't want to bust your stitches. That Brennan didn't care nothing about Emily when Emily ain't even seen a doctor. Hasn't gone to the doctor. We got Cameron over here going to the doctor for an ear infection that he just got yesterday. And Emily been running around with a sprained, darn near broken wrist for 3 days. And Brennan ain't even taken her to the doctor, even suggested it. Becca's starting to figure out Austin though, because every time she speaks about him in glowing terms and talks about how wonderful she is, and how about the wedding, how wonderful the marriage is going, and what she's looking forward to. Austin over there sits over there and goes, a ditto. He act like he can't find the words. What he can't do is he can't find the lie. Okay, that's a whole big difference. He acts like his tongue is tied. He's shy, that he doesn't know how to communicate, that he can't seem to find the words that Becca seems to find, and that maybe he always said, I want to be able to do that. I just got to figure out how to do it. No, what he's trying to do is he's trying to not to find the lie. What he's saying is, I don't want to sit on here and tell a whole bunch of lies. So what I'll do is I'll pretend like I can't find the words. Really what he can't find is he can't find the lies, because he's not willing to go against what's in his head. He's not willing to lie and say about it. The same thing all y'all wanted Orion to do with Lauren. You wanted Orion to lie. When Lauren asked him, how do you feel about me having sex? All of you out here, what you wanted Orion to lie. You wanted him to lie and say that, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, even though it was. You wanted him to lie. And what Austin is saying is, Austin sitting over here stuttering and saying, well, I can't find the words, Becca, but I'm going to find them soon. He going to find them on decision day when he says no. That's when he's going to find them on decision day. He can find the words. He don't want to find the words because the words would be a lie. And he's not trying to lie to her. He likes her. He thinks she's a nice person. And what he's doing is, I don't want to lie to her that much. I got to lie a little bit, but I don't want to go so far down in the lie chamber. And Becca's all in. She thinks she found this wonderful man who wants to take on all her illnesses, take on all her quirkiness, take on the fact that she don't want to have no kids, and take on the fact that she's agnostic, but she running around here trying to hook up with Christians. She's delusional too. Another delusional person. We might want to get on all the men, but we might want to talk about these women who are delusional. And then we get to Cameron and Claire. Is Cameron underground? He doesn't seem like he's underground, y'all. Cameron acts like he really likes Claire. If I had to pick who's underground between Claire and Cameron, I would say it was Claire. I would say it's Claire that wrote off Cameron from the very beginning. If I had to pick who's underground, I would say it's Claire. And you know why? Because when Cameron brought her those roses this last time, she didn't even give him a kiss. A peck on the lips. I thought that was so odd that someone makes such a grand gesture. Your husband makes such a grand gesture and it's not even worth a peck on the lips. Even if you're trying to build your intimacy, it wasn't worth a peck on the lips. I thought that was odd. I thought that when Cameron went to the doctor for his sinus injury, I thought it was odd that Claire didn't go with him as his wife. I thought that was odd. That you're in this strange country, he's going to a doctor. Why wouldn't you go with your husband? Because you had a business meeting? You ain't got no sick days? You ain't got no PTO? Oh, I had a business meeting. Who are you, the president of the United States? You couldn't reschedule no Teams call? You ain't on PTO, no sick time? Even if they don't know you got married because you got to keep it a secret. I didn't understand that. No, that was a personal choice for Claire. Personal choice. She didn't want to go with him. I thought that said a lot. That she did not only not want to give him a kiss from them roses, she didn't even want to go with him to the doctor. Maybe Claire is underground. Maybe Claire is the one who made up her mind from the very beginning when she found out, like she said, all you do is run a bike shop. That's it. That's all you do. You don't do nothing. You lazy. That's kind of what she told him in the very beginning. Maybe then, right in that moment, she decided, I don't want this man. I don't want him one bit. And maybe what she's doing is she's underground. She's trying to keep on a nice, happy face, like she's keeping the possibilities open. But the reality is the door is shut already. The door is already shut. Claire decided right away that Cameron wasn't for her. I think probably prior to even the stuff we see about Cameron, we see Cameron can have kind of a dry personality. He can do little things here and there. We talked about it earlier on. Yeah, I can see why Claire doesn't like him, but I think she decided very early on. I think Claire decided when she found out what he did for a living. I don't think that's Claire's vision for her life. We talk about people not changing things about them. Women don't understand that men don't want a woman who's promiscuous. Well, guess what? Claire doesn't want a man that she doesn't feel that Mike can financially provide for her. I think that's one of Claire's sticking points with Cameron, that he's a bike shop owner and that he may not make that much money. And she doesn't want that for her life. I don't know. Does Cameron have degrees? Claire says she's in getting her master's, and right now she's got a bachelor's and a master's. Does Cameron have any type of degrees from a higher institution? Maybe she looks down on that. Maybe that's not her vision for a husband for herself. Should Claire be more open? Claire be more open to Cameron if that's the case? We said Orion should be more open to women who just had sex 2 months ago. We probably gonna say Brennan should be more open to people like Emily who's had situationships and sex 2 minutes ago. So should Claire be more open to a man that doesn't have a lot of money? We always talk about what we need to get rid of in marriage. Get rid of things that aren't important to us. Decision making. When Cameron went to go to the doctor and he had to go to the doctor and get his ear checked out. Claire did a little thing in the room, a little video in the room. She said this is the first time she'd been in the room by herself without Cameron, and she darn near threw a party. She darn near threw a party. She was so excited. She goes, oh my God, this is the first time I've been in the room without Cameron. It feels so wonderful. Girl, you only been married maybe, what, 2-3 days? 2 or 3 days. She says it was feeling so wonderful to her. She ain't interested in Cameron. Claire's the underground. Claire's the underground. She's the one putting on the facade that she really has the door open and the door is not open. I don't think so. I think Cameron can bring her all the flowers he wants. I think Cameron can touch her arm and touch her all he wants. I think Claire has closed the door on Cameron because of his profession. His profession. That's what I believe. Because it does look like he's trying a little bit harder. It seems like he's trying to be a little bit more open. Seems like he's trying to work with her a little bit more. But Claire don't want to give him too much credit. Not too much at all, because I think what Claire has already decided is I don't want for a husband a man that runs a bike shop. And like I said, I don't know if he has any fancy degrees. And I don't think that she likes that. I know she said that in the beginning, Cameron said he wanted a woman that was tall and slender. That he wanted a woman that's tall and slender. But Claire is a small woman. She's not tall, she's short, but she's a very thin and fit woman. So I don't think it's a matter of Cameron not being attracted to her physically like that. I don't believe that. I think Claire tried to use that as an excuse of why she don't like him. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the case. I think in this situation, when we're talking about underground people, I think it's Claire who's underground. I think it's Claire who's holding her tongue of how she really feels. I believe that we are in some mind games right now. We're in mind games. Talk about the Hunger Games. We're in the mind games. And I think a lot of these marriages are over, even though what we're watching on the TV is making it look like there's possibilities. I don't think there's that much possibility. I don't think there's that much possibility. Y'all, we might be 0 for 5 this season. I can't believe it that we literally might be 0 for 5. We do got that Michael guy that we've been told is coming back. Maybe that'll be the one that makes it. Maybe the one pulling up the rear, coming in last. Because we did hear he gonna get matched later. Maybe that one pulling up the rear, coming in last, will be our winner, our long shot. Maybe that's where we are. We're going to have one long shot winner, and maybe it's going to be Michael and this new bride, because the crop we got right now, y'all, I think it's going to be a 0 for 5. Unfortunately, that's what it's looking like. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Talk to you later. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Bye.